Hello, my fellow Americans. I'm going to wing it. I have a lot of information that I know for many years. And obviously, when you come and say it, they say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, but it's facts. But before I get started, I want you to think about something. We had an administration, regardless whether you were for or against, we had an administration that allowed millions of immigrants come in. You think that was by chance? We had open borders. Do you really think that was by chance? Now, I'm against letting criminals in, obviously, right? But remember, you cannot trust the media. The media lies. The media feeds you what they want to feed you because they want to divide and conquer. I know about divide and conquer because that's what they did with our original ancestry, our tribe of 𝐟𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐨 Indians, right? They divided us into from all the way from from South Carolina. They divided us, right, including they gave us Puerto Ricans, they divided us into Cubans, they divided us into Santo Domingo, Haitian, they divided Panama from Colombia. They divided us because divide and conquer. And that's the same system they're using right now. And I want you to listen to me very carefully because I want you to have a little logic. People get emotional, their reptilian brain activates, and they get upset and they're not thinking clear. We allowed millions of immigrants to come in, right? And then on top of that, we provide $8,000 per immigrant. We provide housing for them at luxury hotels where we don't even provide for our own American citizen veterans that are many of them homeless. Think about it. I need you to understand something. You're you're distracted. This is not about Republicans and Democrats, red states, blue states. They want to divide your attention to what's really going on. Okay, I assure you, this has been done in the past, and I want you to understand that. I mean, for God's sake, immigrants that are illegal, and when I mean illegal, I mean I'm talking about criminals, real criminals. That obviously, okay, go get them. But that's not the way we thought. Okay, I mean the ones that are already in here. If I was the president, I would try to work with them because what's actually going to happen, in my opinion, pay close attention. It may create a civil war, and it's simple. You already see you have state governments and you have federal governments. You have the North and South, and they're dividing us. This was done in purpose. These people that control the 12 family that control our nation, yes. And I'm going to give you more valid information, and I'm going to make it as fast as possible. Okay, because this is a fact and most people are not aware. And I want you to think about that. But that being said, regarding back to the immigrants, they're calling them criminal. You think it's right that they will go to a school? I haven't seen that, so I don't trust the media. But if it's true, you think it's right that they'll go into a church where for thousands a year, church is supposed to be a sanctuary? Or go to your kid's school and then your kids are traumatized because they are friends where an immigrant and they see them cry with people with guns, ICE coming in. You think that's right? You honestly think that's okay? Wake up, guys. This is a nation of immigrants. Remember, my own tribes, where thank God that many of you are peaceful, loving people, right? When I mean by that, I'm talking about the gringos or Caucasian. But many of you are not. Some of you, I should say, are racist. And you are proving it right now that you are. Why? You came here to our land. You raped our women. You killed our indigenous people. The first indigenous people were my people, the 𝐟𝐞𝐥𝐴, right? And then you take our lands. You almost wiped us out to the point that you had to bring African slaves and we were mixed. Mexico, for God's sake, half of the United States that we know today, more than 55% belong to Mexico. For those African American brothers that are listening to me, okay, if you don't know the story about Texas and why Texas dissolved away from Mexico, it was simply because there was a lot at that time people that came there that were farmers and they wanted to bring African American slaves, okay, or African at that time slaves, and Mexico didn't want it. It was against their law. You could research that. There's no excuses in these days for people to be naive because we have a lot of resources. ChatGPT, we have Google, and you can research the facts. And I'll tell you even some names, okay? In 1829, Mexico abolished slavery. And then what they did to try to circumvent that, they said, oh, they're not slaves. They are indentured servant for life because Mexico passed a law because they gave in Texas, they gave over 300 families, Caucasian families, land but the law, they said they had to respect the Mexican law, which was no slavery. And because they didn't like that, because they were raising, cotton and all that, they rebelled. It took a couple of years, and I could show you the amount of years, but we don't have time, from 1821 to 1836. And eventually Mexico cracked down on immigration slave and passed a law in April of 1830 prohibiting slavery. And Texas didn't like that. Or the people, I should say, the white Europeans, Caucasian at the time, didn't like that. They rebelled. And that led to a war, which eventually they stole Texas. They stole many other states as well. So please know your history, because we tend to repeat it. You don't want illegal immigrants here, as you call them, undocumented immigrants. Then there's a lot that you don't know, because the families that are run basically the United States also pretty much run the world. Okay. And if you look, for example, countries that we, Latin American countries that we have invaded, that we have created coups, taken out their governments, robbed their pineapples, bananas, gold, oil, natural resources. And we use the excuse of spreading democracy, as you heard from another video that I said before. You may wanted to listen to it regarding the 14th Amendment. Spreading democracy allegedly, when our own nation of Puerto Rico, right, cannot vote for their own president to this day, unless you're on the mainland. Think about that. Yeah, we were originally Native Americans, right? And that's just one tribe, because obviously, as you know, there were many tribes, including Mexico. You had the Mayans, the Aztec, and many other tribes. Okay, but who were migrated here? Why do you migrate here? Many of you think it was because of religion. That may have been so, but you don't know the fact that you need to look into the war that happened between France and Britain for over 100 years, and who founded both sides of the war. Okay, which was who? The family dynasty, Walter Rothschild. And this is a fact, guys. He was spending billions on both sides while it prolonged the war, kind of what's happening right now in Ukraine. And they prolonged the war. And then what happened? When Napoleon was captured in France, when he was captured in the War of Waterloo, when he was captured, they alleged that France had won. And they had spies in everywhere. They owned the media at the time. So what happened was they sent out a pigeon. The pigeon went to basically the Rothschild, and they went spreading through whole Britain that France allegedly had won, creating a panic. Everybody started selling their stocks. Okay. And then what happened? The Rothschild bought everything off. Okay. So there's more deeper than that. One time I'll make time to explain you how that even affected in Germany, how it affected World War I, and how it affected America with the Federal Reserve Bank, as well as the IRS. We need to abolish the IRS and abolish the Federal Reserve Bank. It is unconstitutional. This is why our founding fathers made it so. And then you saw they had to do an amendment, the 16th Amendment, right, to allow taxation. There's a lot more. For those of you who are young, you may think that we always had a IRS system. No, we did not. We did have it under Abraham for 10 years, because of the Civil War, to pay for the Civil War. And then when we put it back in 1913, it was allegedly because of World War I that was going to help us. And look at the countries that we have affected. And this is just a few. Cuba, Puerto Rico, Panama, Honduras. Panama, guys. We invaded Panama twice, 1903 and 1989. And you see what's going on again regarding the Panama Canal. Nicaragua, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, El Salvador, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, Venezuela, Grenada, Peru. That's just to mention a few. But then you get mad. We've robbing their wealth. We've put a system of bank through the IMF and World Banks, robbing this nation on top of robbing their oil, their gold, and all that. And then we put them in dire consequences when they come back here to America to collect, right? We want to complain. Now, I'm going to go a little deeper for those of you that may not understand. And again, this has nothing to do with just a group of people, because I believe that has to do with the programming, not just that group that I'm mentioning, but also even in America right here, because they have manipulated you and brainwashed you. Take a look at these facts. You want to remain ignorant because you want to, because again, you can research this. USS Liberty incident in 1967. During the 6-day war, Israel force attacked the USS Liberty. To this day, there are survivors that tell you exactly what happened, because they had the American flag on the ship, and they attacked the ship, where 34 Americans were killed and 171 injured. Okay, the Levant affair in 1954. Operation Sasana. Research that. Espionage and Theft of Secret by Jonathan Pollard case in 1980. Research nuclear secrets given in the 1960 Numa case. Research Iraq War, Mossad intelligence, who was involved, why they actually got us involved in the war with lies. You remember weapons of mass destruction where we kill based on lies, based on Netanyahu to be exact, 1.5 million. Okay, and critiques argue to this day that the decision invaded by Iraq and those significant losses had to do with false information given by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was a vocal proponent of United States invasion of Iraq in 2003. He testified before Congress asserting that Saddam Hussein regime was pursuing weapons of mass destruction, and it was a lie. They had a plan to invade a couple of countries, and I don't have time to address that right now. Operation Diamond in 1966. Israel successfully obtained a Soviet MiG-21 fighter jet through Iraqi defectors. There's more. AIPAC espionage scandal 2005. Two AIPAC officials were accused of passing classified United States defense information to Israel. The charges were later dropped, but the case raised concern about influence of pro-lobbying group United States. There's a lot more, guys. So that tells you Israel is not our friend, and it is self-evident. We've seen what our country is doing. And it's not our country, it's not us, but it is our masters, right? They go over, okay, and they're killing innocent people. The genocide regime needs to be stopped. And we should abolish the Federal Reserve Bank. We should abolish the IRS, okay? We should definitely implement for our senators and our Congress term limits so they don't go and do what they're doing right now, which is being paid under the tables and all that. And what they're doing is obvious, guys. Come on. They are passing laws even against the international court because of the warrant they have for the arrest of Netanyahu, defending a genocidal regime, sending billions over there, sending weapons of mass weapons and all that to Israel. And by the way, guys, you want to complain about these so-called illegal immigrants? Listen to this part. Since Israel was created, by the way, if you don't know this as well, look up the Balfour Declaration back in 1917 regarding the Rothschild, when they went to Britain and asked for pieces of land to create their Israel. They asked for Argentina, Uganda, and eventually Britain agreed to give them Palestine. Why? Because a lot of the people didn't want that group of people. And by the way, there's a lot of great Jewish people. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that have woken up. Remember, there's good and bad people in every race and every culture and every religion. There are extremists. Think about it. And there's a Zionist group. Remember this. I studied in the scriptures when I was younger, and there's different types of Jews. They are the Ashkenazi Jews that were in Germany, for example. They are the Mizrahim Jews. Okay, there are the Sephardim Jews, which are actually from Palestine. Okay, there are also, if you remember, for those that grew up in church, there are Orthodox, Conservative Judaism, Reform Judaism, Hasidic Judaism. Remember the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. And remember the scripture himself said regarding Jesus didn't like the Pharisees, right? Call them hypocrites. So there's a lot more for those Christians that believe that the Jewish small sect that are running under the skies, running Israel today, are the actual Jewish people, the descendant of Abraham. You're wrong. And even Revelations, the last book of the scriptures, clearly states what? Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. It said those Jews that are liar, that are fake Jews, that say that they are what? Jews that say they are what? Synagogues of Satan. And eventually they shall bow down to us and know that God loved us. Now, I'm not getting no religious, but if you want to be religious, the last book is the time of revealing, which I believe are now. It's the time of knowing, where people are waking up, and you need to wake up and study these families that created the 12th family, the Federal Reserve Bank, in secrecy in Jekyll's Island. Why? Because they knew that if people would have found out at the time, they would have stopped them because it was unconstitutional. Why it was unconstitutional? Because the founding fathers learned what happened back in Britain and France and throughout many other countries, including Rome. Okay, so this is not the first time. This is a system that eats up people's wealth and is being implemented now, and we're running out. Why are we running out? Because the world is woken up, and the BRIC system was created, in which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and they have taken over much of the GDP, much more than the United States and 5 other European countries combined. And if you know about the Rothschild, you know that Nathan Mayer Rothschild, when he created the bank in Germany, right, in Frankfurt, he sent 5 of his other kids, or I should say 4, because he had 5 before, to make other banks in London in 1804, in Paris, Jacob, in 1811, Solomon opened an office in Vienna in 1820, and Carl opened an office in Naples in 1820. And those families got together, those Rothschilds had people like Warburg, they had like J.P. Morgan, many others, including senators, to create an unconstitutional Federal Reserve Bank that isn't federal, is not a bank. Also, I want you to research fractional lending, money multiplier. Our dollar is a Ponzi scheme. I'll show you one day. I'll go slow and go over that video. Okay. But getting back to this, you know how much money we have sent to Israel? $158 billion, not adjusted for inflation. $158 billion. And you know what? Who's paying for that? You are. We need to abolish the Federal Reserve Bank. We need to get rid of these special interest groups and lobbyists that represent foreign entity. And like Trump has said, America first. Make America great. You want to make America great, Mr. Trump? You need to stop these people. I know they're very powerful. And honestly, I think you already declared war against them when you mentioned you're going to abolish the Federal Reserve Bank. Because if you do, I know they're going to come after you, just like they came after John F. K. and whatever. Listen, there's a lot of information here. I want you to read it. But one thing I can tell you, in 2016, from 2019 to 2000 to now, there is estimated a 10-year memorandum understanding that United States is committed to $38 billion in military assistance to Israel from fiscal year 2019. Guys, we got to stop supporting a genocidal regime. And again, there are many great Jewish people. I have friends myself. All right. This is about a programming. Okay. The American influence as well. If you look at what happened back in Nazis, they were going after the Rothschild, basically. And they created a whole issue where this man with the mustache, I'm not going to mention because they won't stop the video, right? He became paranoid. And then he started suspecting everybody. 50% of the Germans at the time were unemployed. When that started happening, 100% of the people became employed. But to what extent? Right? Just like right now, the immigrants. To what extent? How many innocent people actually died? And it wasn't just Jewish. It was Russian. It was blacks. It was Jehovah's Witnesses. All we hear is about one story. And it was gave them the excuse. Remember, look up the Balfour Declaration. It was 1917. But Israel actually became a state in 1948. 1948 became a state, and they pushed out over 700,000 real Palestinian that was a mixture, unlike what you may know, of Jews, of Arabs, and Christians that lived under the Ottoman Empire for over 600 years in peace. Guys, that's all I have for you for now. There's a lot more, okay? But you guys need to start waking up and do your research, because our bastards, they don't care. They will eat off. They will allow you to eat off the crumbs that falls off their table. Okay, so we need to wake up. And I'm going to end with this. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent that their father conquered. This is not the first time America's next unless we wake up. Okay. And I doubt it, because they're very powerful. I'm talking about, you look around this group from Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, all these. Think about it. What would happen? What would happen? But we need to stop this genocide. We need to stop us fighting against each other, because I assure you, it seems like there's going to be a civil war. And they want that because they know the dollar is dying, and they know they're competing with BRICS, and they will fight. And they will destroy all of us if they have to, like Samson did, just because they don't want to lose that power and control. Okay? These elites are a group of people, a group of families. Okay? I also want you to research Senator Prescott Bush, how he funded the Nazis and he funded Hitler. Senator Prescott Bush, and will try and convict it right here in America. Wake up, people. Divide and conquer. Don't allow yourself to divide. Don't let them break us up into Republican and Democrats because you're losing focus. Is the pyramid up high above them, including president? They are just CEO of companies. The president are just CEO of companies. They have the people on top that control them. They control the media. If they go against them, it will be political suicide. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Later on, I'll give you some more. I'm planning to write a book regarding all this. I have over 200 pages. Please like, comment, and share. And God bless. Thank you for watching.